1975, when disco music was jive, Rocky Horror Show came on screen. Though the critics said no, all the fans wanted to go to the greatest movie they'd ever seen. But then something went wrong when they remade King Kong, and then they remade Sound of Music and Pan. Wiz and Grease were up next, and then just what you'd expect, Rocky Horror was the next in the can. Rocky Horror live performance. That was the plan until it was pre-recorded. Justice and Mick Cotton star as Brad and Janet. Levencock slips into Tim Curry's fishnet. Oh, oh, oh no. It's the remake Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's gonna blow. Oh, whoa. It's the late night Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Hello and welcome to Reboot Theater. I'm your host, the Invisible Man. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. What can you say about this movie? It's awesome! This movie has a great cast, great characters, great music. No, wait, guys, those are the wrong clips. There you go. This movie has a great cast, great characters, great music. It's just all around fun. That being said, it is a bit of an acquired taste. The first time I saw this film, I didn't know what to make of it. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it just plain weird? Well, that's the thing about truly original movies. They sometimes take you by surprise because you just don't know what to expect. So the first time I saw this, I didn't know what to think. And for the next 3 weeks, I could do nothing but think about this movie non-stop. Then one day, I stumbled upon an article that perfectly summed this movie up. I'll put a link to it down in the description because it's a pretty deep article. And then I realized everything in the movie is all symbolic. The characters in the film are all different aspects of a person's personality. And instead of taking the movie at face value, if you think of it from an inside-out perspective, it becomes 10 times better. Then everything in the movie finally made sense, and I can safely say that the Rocky Horror Picture Show became one of my favorite films. But we're not here to review that awesome film. This is the Rocky Horror Remake! Yes, in a world of bad TV movies, this thing takes the cake. This isn't the first time we've seen network stations remake perfectly fine movies, but at least the other films brought something new to the table. They were live! And a televised live performance of these movies is something we haven't seen before. So even if they didn't always hit the bullseye, I still applaud these networks for trying to give us something new, a new format for these old films. This was originally how Rocky Horror was supposed to go, but wouldn't you know it, Fox changed their minds and the whole movie was pre-recorded. So instead, we get a combination of a movie and a stage show, but it comes off as having the worst qualities of both mediums. So, grab your morph bags and let's do the time warp again. This is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Just in case. Right off the bat, you'll notice that we don't get the opening with the distinctive lips, but instead the opening number is performed by Trixie the Usherette, played by Ivy Levon.
And Flash Gordon was there in silver underwear. Cloud Rains was the invisible man.
What? My name's not Claude Rains, it's and that's the secret to curing cancer. But more to the point, Trixie is the character that sings the opening number in the stage show, which immediately tells you, this was meant to be live, but the network ruined everything. Please don't hate us, it's not our faults. Guys, if you want it to be more like a stage show, then just do what Birdman did and make it one continuous shot. That way you're showing the dedication that the stage actors have to put in to perfect their craft. But this show constantly switches camera angles, constantly reminding us that it's a movie, and constantly reminding us that the actors have countless takes to get it right. So after a painfully long opening number, get this. Really? At the last second you show her lips? Reminding us of a far better movie we'd rather be watching? So at this point, the film hasn't even started yet, and somehow it's already left a bad taste in my mouth. How could they possibly make this worse in the next 5 seconds before it officially starts? Oh look! God himself is trying to end this movie before it begins! Rocky Horror Remake, I smite thee! Yes, folks, this film is so bad it calls for divine intervention. If that's not a sign of things to come, I don't know what is. But sadly, not even an act of God can keep this film from happening.
Damn it.
Maybe next time, big guy.
Okay.
As we are then introduced to our two leads, Brad Majors, played by Ryan McCartan, and Janet Weiss, played by Victoria Justice. And guess what? They both suck! I'm sorry, but this is not good acting. Just look at this.
Hey, Janet?
Yes, Brad?
I've got something to say.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Brad, what would you like to say? I am an alien from the planet Celluloid, and I have not yet learned how to talk like a human. And I was just rescued from an apocalypse cult, and everything takes me by surprise for some reason. No, I'm not kidding. Everything in this movie takes her by surprise. Oh, you'll see. So yeah, McCartan clearly isn't taking this role seriously, and you can tell by the tone of his voice, he's just doing this to make a quick buck.
Oh, I want to go.
Well, we can't go anywhere until I get to a phone.
As for Justice, well...
Oh, it's nicer than Betty Monroe had. Now we're engaged and I'm so glad.
You might think I'd be glad that Victoria is trying to stay true to the original here. But if you're going to remake an old film, you need to add something! You especially need to update the dialogue or the portrayal of the characters. Back in the 70s, a leading lady that fawned over her man wasn't that uncommon. It was a sign of the times. In addition, this is a parody of 50s horror films, where women were almost exclusively damsels in distress. But today, we have so many strong independent women in TV and movies that a portrayal like this one is just plain insulting. But the biggest problem of all is this. Victoria is just doing a Susan Sarandon impression the entire time, so the character doesn't feel organic. Look, I get it, stay faithful to the original, but if you're going to put your own spin on a character, then do exactly that. Play it up in a different way, your own way. Otherwise, you're basically saying, yeah, I had no ideas of my own for Janet, so I'll just copy everything from someone who's already done it. Oh yeah, he's not saying that because it's in the script. It's because you just realized in that moment, wow, I said yes to this movie. Tell me you don't hear it too. After the butchering of yet another classic tune, the movie finally shows some promise as we meet our new criminologist, the original Frankfurter, Tim Carey! Wow, we got Tim Curry to come back? Maybe this won't suck. Well, sadly, he's not enough to save the film. It was definitely cool to see him again in another Rocky Horror production, but thanks to that stroke he had in 2012, he's just not the same man he used to be.
It's just a jump to the left.
Oh, great. When not even Tim Curry can save a movie, you know something's wrong. Moving on, our quote-unquote heroes head to visit their old scientist pal, Dr. Everett Scott, when they get a flat tire on the way.
Must have had a blowout. Damn it!
So naturally they call AAA and wait for them to come in the nice, warm, dry car. No, they need to go hiking in the pouring rain.
In the velvet darkness of the blackest night.
Yeah, it's 2016 and somehow neither of them has a cell phone! Yet another reason why remakes don't work when they don't update anything! In the 70s, this made sense, but nowadays, pretty much everyone has a cell phone. Why would you need to go find someone and ask to use their home phone? Do people even have those anymore? I mean, what's next? Oh hey, I need to send an email. Can I use your fax machine? Get an umbrella, you cheapskates! Anyway, they arrive at the place that's white and sells hamburgers, where they are greeted by the butler Riff Raff, played by Reeve Carney. who traditionally is a very quiet and reserved character. But I swear Carney must have gotten high for this role because his version of Riff Raff is just way off.
You've arrived on a rather special night. It's one of the master's affairs.
Alright, here we go. It's time for Time Warp. This is by far the most well-known and most popular song for the movie. This is the one that even non-fans of the movie know. This is a song that has been parodied countless times by countless TV shows.
Let's make the coffee again, everybody!
So how could anybody possibly, conceivably screw this up? Country Western works.
It's astounding. Time is fleeting.
Alright. Maybe I'm a little quick to judge. After all, it's just a different version. It's not that bad. I'm sure at the very least they'll stay true to the spirit of the original. What the hell? Jesus H. Christ! If Nicolas Cage was a drug, this guy has smoked 10 bongs of him! Okay, maybe the other singers can liven this up a little. Musical theater is dead. You just killed it. Wow. I mean, wow. You've actually got to try and act disinterested before your delivery is that flat. What do you think the director said to this? Hey guys, how about another take, but this time maybe a little more half-assed. Perfect. That'll put the audience to sleep like nothing else. God damn! This is the show's title track! The one that everybody in the theater dances along with! And this was the best you could do? This won't get the audience on their feet. They'll think they're the DMV waiting to get their license renewed. Come on, people. Is it that hard? Is it really that hard to make a faithful adaptation? Ugh, is there gonna be anything in this movie I'll actually like? Well, hello there. This is Annalee Ashford, who plays New Columbia. And I'll admit, she is the one and only character I liked better than the original. She's not exactly like Little Nell's Columbia, but she doesn't have to be. You can tell she's taking this role seriously and trying to do a good job. She plays the character in her own way, so it doesn't feel forced. And while she does have a very different looking personality, that's okay, because she keeps the spirit of the original character alive while also building on it. That's what I wanted to see! I wanted something new and different, but I also wanted to feel like it was the same character. Annalee's Columbia is still a groupie like the original, but she's also kind of a badass that plays by her own rules. And I'm just gonna say it, she's a better tap dancer than Little Nell. Whoa, and she stomps on pianos like a badass! Everything about her screams rebel! This is the character we've been waiting for. If every character had been updated in the same way Columbia was, this movie would have been way different. Let's hear it for a star of the show, everybody! Annalee Ashford, MVP! This is her movie now! But just when you're hoping the rest of this movie is just Columbia, the plot rears its ugly head. And we're introduced to the worst casting choice in the film. Oh look, we couldn't afford an elevator prop, so we got a cherry basket instead. Would someone please explain to me what Frank was doing up there? Why would you have a cherry basket that doesn't lead anywhere? Alright, darlings, now that that light bulb has changed, let me come down very slowly in plain view, drawing a lot of attention to myself so that everyone in the room can notice me. Well, I'm stumped. I thought that was a pretty loud intro. Yeah, seriously, remember when I said everything in this movie takes her by surprise? Well, this was what I meant. Why would Janet not notice Frank coming down at a snail's pace? Is she tough? Can she only see things that are touching the ground? Guys, in the original, this worked because Frank came down in an elevator and appeared suddenly behind Brad and Janet. She was surprised to see him there, which is why she screams and faints. But here, you'd have to be wearing a Century Deprivator 5000 not to notice this woman! And yes, let's address the elephant in the room. Laverne Cox was not a good choice for this role. Starting with the fact that with her in this role, the song makes no sense.
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
No, you're not. It is an actual fact you are not a transvestite. And to prove it, let's ask my good friend, Webster. Transvestite. A person who wears clothes designed for the opposite sex. Now, a lot of folks like to argue, well, Laverne's a transsexual, so that's close enough. Let's define that next. Transsexual. Of relating to, or being a person whose gender identity is opposite the sex the person had or was identified as having at birth. Now, it's true that Laverne was born male, but she now identifies as female. So here you can see a woman wearing women's clothing. By definition, a woman dressed as a woman is not a transvestite. She's just a woman. And do I really have to explain this? If you wanted to give Laverne the role, fine, but why not have her wear men's clothing? Or better yet, just switch two of the words.
I'm just a sweet transsexual from transvestite, trying to make
I'm open to the idea of a transsexual Frankenfurter, and I think that's a timely update to the character. But you didn't do that! You didn't change the character to fit the actor! You never mentioned that Frank was a transsexual in this version, so why should we assume that she is? But aside from the song no longer making sense, Laverne just was not right for this role. Not because she's a woman, but because she's a bad dancer. When Carey did this role, he made use of the whole stage. He moved around, he interacted with different people besides Brad and Janet. He moved at different speeds, he struck various sexual poses. Here, Laverne's basically standing in one spot the whole time. And when she does move around, her movements are incredibly predictable and just not that entertaining to watch. It doesn't help sell Frank's craziness when all you're doing is movement porn. Dancing is an art form, and it helps tell the story. But when you march in a straight line, all you're telling us is that you know how to walk. So then Brad and Janet give us trailer fodder. Admit it, the only reason you watched this was to see Victoria Justice in a bra. Go on, admit it, you're not alone here. And then we get yet another unnecessary change.
We'll play along for now and pull out the aces when the time is right.
Boo! Bad joke! Bad joke! And not in the original, so you have no excuses for that insult to comedy. Boo! Up next, we see the usual scene with Frank bringing Rocky to life and then singing a song about working out.
You eat nutritious, high protein, and swallow raw eggs.
It was boring then, it's boring now, so moving on. Then we see the best character from the original, Eddie. Eddie is the greatest. He was always my favorite character, and Meatloaf played him perfectly. Now, I'm not expecting anything that good, but let's see what they do with him. Oh look, instead of coming out of the freezer, he drives his motorcycle through a 2-story window. Let me repeat that. He drives his motorcycle through a 2-story window! I mean, really, guys? How does that even happen? Even for Rocky Horror, this makes no sense. How do you drive a motorcycle through a window on the 2nd floor? Did he build a dedicated ramp just for that? Or did he take a page out of Grease and suddenly his bike can fly? Oh, well, whatever. Let's see what they got to ruin Eddie's character with.
Whatever happened to Saturday night?
Anna Lambert? Lead singer of Queen? That's not bad. In fact, Lambert does a pretty good job with his 3 minutes of screen time. Now, don't get me wrong, nobody can replace Meatloaf. This is and always will be his role. But Lambert gives a nice performance. I'll even admit it actually captures the spirit of the original, which is more than I can say for the rest of this film. Oh no, I can't have someone making this a good adaptation. Die, you far better singer than me! Well, that was a pretty lame way to die. First it was a chainsaw, then it was a pickaxe, but in this version, a tiny knife! Really? You guys had such a low budget, all you could afford was a kitchen utensil? Though, to be fair, one thing I find kind of funny is the face he makes right before Frank throws him out the window. What the f***, bitch? I liked Freddie Mercury better. Sort it out! So then the usual, Frank rapes Janet, then Frank rapes Brad, then Janet rapes Rocky, and admittedly this scene is pretty good.
I was feeling done in. Couldn't win.
Victoria actually sings this song pretty well. And if I'm being honest, even tops Susan Sarandon's performance. There, I said it. This is the one song in this horrible remake that actually surpassed the original. And the reason it works is because Justice finally starts playing the character her own way, instead of just copying Sarandon. Therefore, for the first time, Janet doesn't feel forced. She's believable.
Show me, fulfill me. Creature of the night. Touch me.
On a side note, how hot is Victoria Justice in a bra? Honestly, I know that has nothing to do with anything, but I just want to say, hot damn, there's a body.
Creature of the night.
But Brad's not too happy when he finds out Victoria's secret.
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rocky!
Okay, I have a lot to say about this. But first, let's finish the joke.
Janet?
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rocky! Oh. Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rocky!
Wow, you did it. You just killed whatever shred of dignity this movie had left. I'm not gonna act like this was hilarious in the original, because the constantly changing camera angles ruin the timing.
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rocky!
The only time this ever really works is in a live performance, where the actors can rapid fire the names more quickly.
Janet! Rocky!
Dr. Scott. Brad.
Janet! Rocky!
Dr. Scott.
Rocky! Piss off!
Rocky has a better line too. But here, this is beyond flat! The acting is forced, the timing is all over the place, and the biggest kicker of all,
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Brad says Janet first. And then Janet still refers to Dr. Scott, even though he didn't speak! Then Brad says Janet again, and only then does she acknowledge his existence. Guess they really wanted to drive home that Janet is surprised by everything vibe. But even worse, they correct the mistake the second time around, which draws attention to the mistake they made the first time.
Janet?
Dr. Scott?
Janet!
Brad!
Rocky!
And again, if this were a live show, I could have looked past this. Because I get it. Actors are human. They make mistakes. Sometimes someone says someone else's line. It happens. But when you pre-record the actors saying their lines, and the editor still can't get it right, even in post, that's how you know your movie is running on fumes.
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
And again, McCartan just realized what a flop he's in. What are we doing with our lives, Janet? What are we doing with our careers? I think we're stating our resumes right now. Where was that suicide cult you escaped from? So then they sit down to dinner and have, honestly, a pretty funny moment.
I hope it's not meatloaf again.
All right, movie. You had one good joke. One joke that actually worked. Granted, it was an inside joke, and you had to be a fan of the original to get it, but that was legitimately funny. Unfortunately, it doesn't last, because if you thought they butchered the last scene, just get a load of this.
I came here to discuss Eddie.
Eddie!
That's a rather tender subject.
Ms. Cox, you have a line here.
Another slice, anyone?
A slice of what? What are we talking about?
Excuse me.
What? Where's she going? Is right. That scene was so bad I don't even recognize it. Oh, God. Guys, this worked in the original because they had the timing down right. And they didn't wait for a pizza to be delivered between lines.
We came here to discuss Eddie.
That's a rather tender subject. Another slice, anyone?
And then it hits you. OMG, they're eating his corpse. But here, you pause so long, the moment is completely lost. By the time you get to the punchline, I don't even remember what we were talking about anymore. So then the usual, they sing about stuffed animals, Frank turns everyone into statues.
It's not easy having a good time.
And then, of course, the floor show. Admittedly, the makeup here is an improvement. The original's makeup looked a little too clowny for my taste. This looks more like makeup I'd actually expect to see on Broadway. And on a side note, Victoria Justice is still sexy. The rest of the scene is pretty much par for the course, except for one thing. Rocky dies from the laser. No, That's not how it works. That's how the stage version goes because that's the easiest way to do it. But the movie is supposed to have a bigger climax than that. Originally, Rocky proved to be immune to the laser. He originally climbed up the RKO tower. Oh, yeah, another thing. No RKO tower. And only after falling into the pool does he die. I'm still not sure why that would kill him, but that's beside the point. Here, this is beyond underwhelming. Oh, okay, I'm dead. So then the humans leave the castle, the aliens go back home, and Tim Curry delivers one final line.
And crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race, lost in time and lost in space and meaning.
Words to live by. This movie was lost on every level. It just didn't know what it wanted to be. Is it a movie? Is it a stage show? Is it a little bit of both? This is just a flat-out train wreck. This remake was dull, boring, an insult to the movie it was supposed to be a tribute for, and just not very well thought out. But here's the kicker. In a weird way, it's kind of a faithful adaptation. Remember how earlier I said this actually takes place inside a person's mind? Well, all the characters in the film represent a different aspect of someone's personality. But whose personality? The narrator's. That's how he knows so much about these characters, because he's the Riley to their inside out. Brad is the family man personality, Janet is his feminine side, Frank's his wild sexual side, Eddie's his nostalgic side, Columbia is the relationship he has with his girlfriend. The interpretations are endless. So, if all the characters exist inside the narrator's head, whose head is it this time around? Tim Curry. And my theory is this. The reason the characters are so drastically different this time around is because the stroke of 2012 not only attacked Curry's body, but also his mind. For that reason, his memory of the film has degraded, and this is the story the way that he remembers it now. It's been so long since Curry made the film, he can't even remember whether he played a transvestite or a transsexual. And with old age, his memory isn't what it used to be, which resulted in a severely slanted view of this iconic film. Again, this is just a theory, and I guess I'm just trying to cope with what I've seen by trying to make sense of it all. But yeah, in a weird way, this actually is a faithful adaptation. Don't get me wrong, this movie blows chunks, and it's definitely not an entertaining film. If you want an entertaining film, watch the original. It has stood the test of time, and it will continue to do so for years to come. So is this a good movie? No. Is it an insult to the original? You betcha. But is it the worst remake I've ever seen? Admittedly, no. There have been worse remakes than this, and it at least shows some effort was being made, for the most part. That's still lazy. But yeah, generally speaking, remakes of classic properties just don't work, guys. When there's nothing wrong with the original, don't make a mediocre remake. No one needs it. No one wants it. Maybe someday TV stations will realize this, but until then, all we can do is just hope for the best. I'm the Invisible Man, and when there's a crappy remake, I got it covered.